Are you a woman of color who would benefit from having women of color strategic partners to help you grow your business? Our guest created a private network for women of color, providing leadership and entrepreneurship development. Oh, we are going to learn so much from her today. Yeah, it's Fab Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Live Show. Let's glow, okay? Hello and welcome everyone to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, startup champion to first-time founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now show newly minted business owners how to sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. And I call it Ande-licious advice, core startup business strategies delivered with high enthusiasm, inspiration, and joy. So thank you for carving out time to up your founder game, learning from another founder, right? While cheering that founder on. It's so much fun to open doors and add wind to each other's sails, right? For those of you watching now or via the replay, I would love your support of the show by clicking the like button wherever you're viewing, because we're live on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch. So any kind of love really helps the show reach more founders. And if you are on YouTube, wow, a subscribe and a click on that bell icon would mean the world to me. Thank you so, so much. So I'm excited to introduce you to this guest who I've known for a while. We were part of a little book launch in support of our girl right here, Arlan Hamilton. We'll talk about that a little more. But our guest today is Marsha Guerrier. And Marsha is a TEDx speaker, a 3 times best-selling author, a trainer, a business analyst, a coach, and now CEO of HerSuiteSpot. Let me pull that right up there. Take a gander at that. HerSuiteSpot is a private network for women of color, providing leadership and entrepreneurship development. And HerSuiteSpot membership provides live workshops, accountability, access to growth strategy, learning lab of workshops, and a network of support and coaching. Oh my gosh. Let's bring Marsha into the room and give her a warm welcome. Hey, Marsha.
Hi, Ande. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so grateful to have you. Let's talk a little bit about Arlan Hamilton, right?
Oh yeah.
How much do we love her? How much do we love this book, right?
We love the book. We love her. She is the most down-to-earth, accessible person that you can probably ever meet at her level. She's great.
That's right. And those are beautiful words. You're absolutely right. And I remember I saw, an article written about her, and I started to follow her like glue practically, because everything that was coming out of her mouth felt so authentic.
Yes. And it still does, even after all this time and after so much of her success, right? And her rise, she is still the same person.
She really is. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate her example as well, her representation. And one of the chapters I learned a lot about from was the lived experience. So, as we get older, we have a lot of lived experience, right?
Yeah.
And she talks about how we bring that to our work and to the world. And it's so important to understand that we can have an impact. Where are you hailing from today?
I am in New York.
All right.
It's a beautiful day here today in New York, despite the cold temperatures. The sun is out, and I'm excited to be
Excellent. So, folks, if you're watching live right now, I would love it if you would pop into the comment section area. Let me just bring up my little banner here, because we would love to amplify your business. So if you put in your business name, the one-liner, and the URL, we'll bring it up on the screen and celebrate all that you're doing as well. And you never know who will be watching this live or later. I get a lot of views on the archives, folks. So you never know. And they might go, oh, I want to know more about that business. And, Marsha, I always ask for that one liner because people come up with really cool names, right, for their businesses, but
Like
I
her
haven't a clue.
spot.
But I haven't a clue what it's about. So when people do share the one liner, it makes it so much easier for us
Yeah,
to celebrate them. So
like her sweet spot. That name always throws people off, and they're like, "Oh, okay, her sweet spot." I have to describe it's SUITE, sweet as in C-suite, as in leadership.
That's right. I know, because nowadays we know what the other kind is. But it's still, you're presenting it with the right colors, with the right taglines, etc. You can have any great name for your brand, provided you're following it up with something really strong as far as what it does. And your work is amazing. I'm so excited to learn more. What I appreciate about what you've done over these years is that you have built up this really incredible career. I mean, your experience in fintech and financial services is very, very strong. But what was it that spoke to you and compelled you and called you to want to leave, as I call the steady paycheck, behind? And maybe you didn't. Maybe this has all been a side hustle for you. But what called you to say, I want to serve the world in this way?
Well, Andy, I'll tell you, it's truly a side hustle and still a side hustle.
Great.
I've been working in fintech serve for over 25 years now. And I found a few years ago, I needed to belong to a space where all of my side passion projects that I've had throughout from my teens, I've always done things to make extra money and just to really use my creative skills. And about 10 years ago, I decided that I needed to use my skills to help other women. Watching rich white men get richer and richer, and me being left out of those financial gains, working for startups, I said, you know what? I've been doing my side hustles for so long. I need to create a space. Is there a space? And I didn't find it at the time, where I could bring and connect people with the resources they need for me to learn and to teach other women that I knew in my circle of friends that had side hustles and still needed to think of themselves as huge entrepreneurs, as potential startups to one day have that $1 billion valuation. And so,
and to be thinking along those lines too, so often women, and I saw this quote the other day, they don't mind, they like the congratulations, oh, you're doing great, all of that, but ask for the monetary reward as well.
That's it. You're so on the money. That's the last thing many of us are bold enough to go after, right? We know we need it. We know in the back of our minds, we're looking for that and we're hoping to be recognized and offered it, but we seldomly go in for that big ask, that financial ask.
That's right. And again, recognition is wonderful. Being on purpose and feeling wanted and part of a team is great, but money is really also the financial value for what we are offering. There's a great organization too, Marsha, called Founder Gym. You may know them. They help, founders raise money, but they also have a great 6-week course called Money Magnet. And it talks about that because sometimes generationally we get indoctrinated around money in a way that's not healthy. Right? Especially go ahead. Yeah.
Especially women. We're either not taught about money or we are taught to be shameful about money, right? And it's important that events and workshops and classes such as the Founders Gym boot camp, I think it is, right? Accelerator. It's important for us to join in on those type of resources that are really there to help you discover your money issues, because you don't know you have money issues until you talk about it. Right. And you don't know you have a lack of knowledge and or confidence around money and deserving more money until you really surround yourself with the right people that want to see and advance the economic success of you. And that's what HerSuiteSpot is all about.
And I bet at HerSuiteSpot too, you teach people the language to use.
Yes, we talk often about what it looks like, the language to use around funding, the language to use around technology, helping startups and small businesses. I have women who come to me and they say, I have a t-shirt business, so I sell makeup online. No, you have an online technology. You're a tech startup. See yourself. Did you think Facebook thought to themselves they were just a, chatting website? No, they thought big, and they progress themselves to this point where they are the giant in social networking.
Everybody take that in what Marsha just said. Okay. Seriously, you start your business. And again, we tend to, downplay what we're doing. No, put it into the right language, into the right words. And also there's always language too for charging for the services, for trying to figure out, how to bring in that customer, and by working with strategic partners like you are bringing to the table, not only are they knowledgeable or can help you brainstorm around the language,
Right.
because just from the, a simple email versus a 3-pager, putting things in bullet points instead of long paragraphs,
Yeah.
how do you ask? What are those words? I think those are the teaching moments that matter the most, coupled with at HerSuiteSpot, your strategic partners already know what you're going through because and are deeply empathetic because of the skin color challenges and the unconscious or conscious biases, and then how to navigate that.
Yeah, I call them the natural biases. They're neither they're never unconscious. It's just natural,
Natural.
right?
Beautiful. Love that.
And I think it's on both sides.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, I went to a meeting where it was for a group of Black mentors to mentor other Black kids and actually help. It was an interview process, and we were
Nice.
selecting the next cohort, and they had to remind us on the call, you have to be open-minded and really, really take a look at your natural bias to want every young Black child to make it into the program, but we can't accept everyone. So we need your evaluation to
Right.
be as non-biased as possible. So it's very important to acknowledge your natural biases and know when to keep them in check.
That's great. And so, and I want to go a little bit deeper into what inside of you really compelled you in that professional and personal development category. Was there anything that happened to you in your past or your lived experience that you wish you had been prepared? That's why you want to help women be prepared. What was the trigger?
There are small triggers throughout my career and upbringing. My mom has 6 or 7 beautiful sisters, and I've watched them support each other. I have no sisters, right? So I have best friends. I have many female cousins, but I have no sisters. And I've watched them grow this bond. And in corporate America, especially in FinServ, I started on this FinServ side of the industry. You watch women kind of claw at each other, not support each other. And unfortunately, it's because of the structures that were created to keep women out of leadership roles. And they developed that one leadership position, and you knew it was for a woman because it was either client service or customer relations or administrative. And so you'd run, or HR, and you'd run to those areas trying to get the jobs. And right. And it's the crab in the barrel syndrome. And so watching all of that, having experienced that in my own career, I know I needed a space where the right like-minded women can come together and help each other. Women need a space to talk about the traumas that we've been through.
Yes.
And help each other through them, support each other, give each other strategies, resources, connect them to leaders that are in high positions in corporate America and that have successfully sold, and or started second businesses and are navigating the space of entrepreneurship and leadership.
Oh, I love that, something fierce, especially the navigation of it all. Because sometimes if you're not able to tell your story and your pain that broke your heart, or however it hurt, You
Yeah.
can't dilute it. It
Yes.
stays there festering. And women, especially, women have to tell their stories. It's part of our cave woman lizard brain
Yeah.
as well, to get it out, put it out, and have that empathetic response from others. And then the shift can happen. And then we can look at it out here more as an observer instead of carrying it so personally inside. So what a gift that you did. So, you were compelled for this particular solution, for this particular problem, but you had to do everything, something that all startups have to do. And I talk about this all the time, everybody. You know that you have to prove your value proposition.
Yeah.
And I can never say this enough, Marsha, but you have to prove that value proposition, especially if you're bringing something new to the market that people haven't really seen before. But you need to test, will there be a way that this will be profitable and sustainable? Do people really want? Will they participate? And that journey for you, what's that been like? Because you put out your shingle, you start getting people around the table. Share a little bit about that journey.
So I was given great advice from the beginning of my personal journey to start local. And it doesn't mean to start small, but just start local. In New York here, I have so many people around me that need these type of services. But I live in a small community, and I really started here in my community. I started by putting people together in a room, having discussions, bringing in leaders that I knew in areas of mindset, money, marketing, and media, which has always been the 4 pillars of my business. And starting with what is manageable, especially when you are a sidepreneur and a side hustler, and you're doing your business in addition to working your 9 to 5 and managing your family and personal life, right?
Yeah.
Starting small, being able to do things that are achievable in a short amount of time, get organized, and don't be afraid of partnerships and team building. That is a key component that most solopreneurs and solo CEOs are afraid to let go of, especially
Yes.
women of color, right?
Yes.
Their trust issues in our communities at times, and their lack of the lack of trust, right, with
Yeah.
other people is so important to break down those barriers and bring people in from the beginning that will help you. Local officials. I work with a lot of politicians that are in need of services. I started at that level where I really brought together communities, different, diverse women that otherwise would not have known each other, right? Start building the community from your local perspective. And
Right.
that could be locally online too. It doesn't have to be in person.
Right. And that just, it's in your zip code, folks. You can go around, and that's where you can get your lift. You can prove your value proposition
Correct.
locally, test it. I love it. I think it's so creative that you went to the politicians and, you looked around at different people who are in the constituent world, right? They have to build up constituency, and they have to show their support of important organizations. I love that. So
And I actually had a nonprofit before I had founded HerSuiteSpot. And with my work through my nonprofit in the community, that helped me get rooted into the community as well. Volunteerism,
yeah.
putting yourself out there, joining chambers, it builds up your ecosystem, and you could actually test out your service or product right there at a local level.
Absolutely. And if your community, if there are any programs around where you could do, pitches, not that you're raising money, the pitch events are so helpful on many levels. First of all, you usually only have, maybe 3 minutes or so to pitch your business. So it's great to get your idea down into that concrete
Mhm.
time frame. But then, then you get to practice that and you get up in front of people. But more importantly, they usually have real smarty pants in the audience
Yes.
that could give you some great free advice. Yay!
Yeah.
But I'm going to capture those bullet points for the show notes that you just said. I marked down the time because that was a great 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on what folks can do. And you mentioned something that, of course, that's really, really important. It's the ask for help. And women, I'm going to throw this out to you because this has been a learning experience for me as well, because especially if you're multi-talented and you're good at almost everything, which many women are.
Yes.
You have to at some point let people help you and let them figure out the problem for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be, I've reached points in my life where I'm like, dang it, I'm tired of solving everybody else's problem. I want someone to solve this for me.
Yeah. True.
And, break open the wallet, throw down the credit card, whatever you have to do. Let that happen, even if you lose money on the deal.
That's such a key point, because when people resist bringing in support and help, it's because of the money, and they're afraid to let go of whatever small amounts that they're earning, whatever revenue they're getting, But if you think about how much you can gain by letting go of just a little bit, there are great services like Upworks, Fiverr. There's so many amazing platforms where you could hire temporary workers and freelancers that will help you get things done. I have a developer on my team that I met through Fiverr, and I'm able to have a full-time. I don't spend the six-figure salary of a developer, right, to get me where
And on Fiverr, everybody. Now, that Fiverr doesn't mean it's just $5, okay? They charge, but it's
we got way past the Fiverr part.
It's the talent. And the beauty is that you find, and in your case, it worked out great. But if it doesn't work out great for you folks, you can just go, okay, we're complete.
Yeah.
This isn't working for me. This is not a fit, but thank you. And you give them some feedback if they're really bad, and ratings so others can avoid it. But it could have just been a fit issue, or they didn't have the skill set you thought they did. Boom, go on.
Walk away.
I call it the Rolodex because I'm old, but move on to the next person that you can find. So I love that advice. And you also in that finding, going out to your zip code and testing and proving and all of that, you also needed to find, like, how am I going to distribute my surface, right? And this is something we all need to think about. What are the different channels we're going to reach people at? Is there a certain percentage online, a certain percentage by showing up in person?
Yeah.
You hear distribution channel for products and the big companies. You need to take it down to your micro level as a business and think, how am I going to meet these people, and who can help me meet these people?
Right.
So how are you doing this online, as with your digital marketing, since you shared so nicely how you're doing it locally?
Right. So last year, 2020, the pandemic has really woken people up that have been afraid to go online and to be digital. So the HerSuiteSpot has been digital in a hybrid for many years. I knew that no matter what, because I started on the local component, that I wanted to grow nationally, and I started to just engage with people, understanding who your actual customers are, who your ideal avatar or customer is going to really help you determine what platforms and what avenues on both on and offline work for your business. It's important to do the work up front and to identify that.
Yeah. And so how did you do that, Marsha? How did you decide which platforms, social media platforms, work best for you?
I stalked every platform. I really got into the mind of my ideal customer. And for me, that was super easy because that was me. I was my ideal customer. Generally, when women any person is starting a business, for the most part, you're starting it out of a need that you personally had. And so you really need to examine what were the pain points that you experience, and how did you solve it, and how your business is solving it, and look at the different avenues, whether it is social media, whether it's fully through Google, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and even nowadays, TikTok has proven to be a great source of business connecting for many startups, right? And so it's important that when you get a clear understanding of the pain points of your ideal customers, and you hang out where they are.
Yes.
Hang out where people like you are hanging out. I found that a lot of my clients that are service-based providers, especially, were hanging out with other service-based providers. That is the last place you need to be. You need to either develop your own ecosystem of people that need what you have, or start infusing yourself into those places where they may be. Look at publication, different media types where you can have conversations, blogs, and streaming services, podcasts such as this, so that you can really engage and find your own ecosystem.
I got to tell you, I hope you're all taking notes here, because what you just said is so key, especially, and you're going to see this in Clubhouse, folks, and those kind of audio platforms where people of the same milieu are all going to get together.
Yeah.
And that's not going to help you.
That's not the room for you.
That really, you've got to go where your customers are hanging out. And so I've been scrolling around here because I want to bring up a customer persona. So I'm going to put bring it up on the screen as soon as I download it, everybody, for all of you. But it's a wonderful exercise. And so if you just give me a second here, we'll keep talking about how important it is to go where your customers are. And what you said about online too, if you find out where they're hanging out, and so it may have nothing to do with what you're doing. It has everything to do with what they're doing, right?
Right. That's the part of marketing and or sales that most startups don't get. You don't hang out where people kind of, you think.
Yeah.
It's really when you have your ideal customer, you know the buying behaviors of your ideal customer, where similar products or services may be finding them. That's where you look. Those behaviors, there you go. What are the motivations, goals, behaviors, and expectations of your ideal customer? Those are the things that will help you find where they may be.
And this exercise here, folks, and anybody, you can just ping me and I'll send it to you. This helps you for all types of customers that you're reaching. So you're going to throw in the image of the man or the woman, and so you get a better feeling for who they are, and you fill out this wonderful exercise form here to help you better understand your customer. I have to do that, and you're going to have to rotate that. You're going to have to keep coming back and saying,
there's more than one.
There's
not just one persona, right? So I talk to people or a client who may have a product for a child. If you're selling a product that children will play with, you think your ideal customer is a child. It is not the child alone. You have maybe 2 or 3 personas to market to, and to find them where they belong. You have the working mom, you have the working dad, and then you have the child themselves. The advertising you do and the marketing you do and how you reach them would look completely different, because the solution speaks differently to the parent versus the child. The solution is more parent driven, and the solution to the child is more, hey, we're here for fun. Let's have some fun. Right. But when you're selling to the parent, you're selling the idea of helping your children get educated, or helping your child stay socially connected, whatever it is. But your business will usually have multiple personas.
Right. And I'm having
do that.
Yeah. And I'm having such an delicious moment right there, folks. When you're a B2B business, you're selling to that business with the right marketing and language to reach their target audience. Correct. Oftentimes, right? And I just had this conversation with Dale Roberts, who's the self-publishing guy, and we were talking about branding for authors, and it's the same thing. You've got a children's book, you've got to market to the parents as well as using the right language for the kids. And so that was a perfect example. Thank you so much for that, Marsha. And okay, hi Laura. How are you? So Laura has a wonderful product called Zaze, and it's a beautiful olive oil. You may have heard me talk about it before, and it is from female farmers.
Oh,
So
wow.
she's, enhancing the economic success, right, of women. And they happen to be usually in Turkey, but in other parts. And thank you. And I will absolutely send that to you, Laura. Thank you.
Yeah.
And she had a little note here for you as well. Great advice. So
Oh, thank you.
thank you, Laura. So, moving along with the whole process of building this platform, this is a side hustle for you. So do you fund it out of your pocket? Are you having sponsors coming in? How are you giving it oxygen?
So from the very beginning, I did bootstrap and put in all of the funds for it myself. But then slowly I started, because of, again, working on the local level and knocking on the doors of other business owners, telling them what I'm doing, I started to get sponsorship. And now, being on a more national level, globally, I am working with other sponsors
Oh, that's
to
wonderful.
fund the programming.
And that, of course, answers the next question, which is this will be this local? Are you serving the local economy, or do you want to go global?
We are actually currently global. We are in a couple of cities, especially when I look at the data for the women that are applying for our micro grant. They are
Mhm.
nationally, actually. They run anywhere from Florida, Houston, California. So we are servicing women throughout the United States.
Tell me about the micro grant.
So the HerRise Microgrant, I've been giving away micro grants to women of color startups at that very early stage that otherwise are not eligible for any type of funding. And so we've been giving out $100. We graduated to $250, and now we're currently at $500 a month, where we provide a woman of color with a $500 seed of hope, where we're planting those seeds of hope to help them with small things like their online systems, or even to get a laptop or a printer, all the things that sometimes prohibit women from starting their businesses or taking it to just that next level, whatever that next level looks like for you.
I'm telling you, because being a mentor in an accelerator that's at that level, right?
Mhm.
It's amazing what $500 can do
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
psychologically, as well as, wow, I can get some design work done. I
Right.
can hop on Fiverr and make something
And
else happen.
exactly. It's so
And
important.
and it creates that momentum. And so, in talking about her sweet spot right here, join the Her Sweet Spot network for free, everyone, to get access to curated content for women of color leaders and entrepreneurs. And you can see right below on the ticker tape going by HerSuiteSpot.com. Hop on over there and be sure to join, because that, you know, being part of a community that is raising up and helping the economic success, because when you get that economic piece figured out, you can manage all the other stuff life throws at you a little
It all
easier.
starts to come together. I have you are like probably one of the first people to know about this new online program that we have for free, that we are literally just now launching for Women's Month. And we haven't even made a major announcement about it yet, but you guys here at Startup Life Live are the first to be introduced to our online program, where we'll have curated content just for women of color that are really interested in advancing in leadership and entrepreneurship. And we are making exclusive access to these women. When you register, you will have access to joining or applying for the HerRise grant. So
Great.
that is something that we are changing and really working on for the future, is to really give our members the opportunity to get the advancement, the resources and tools they need. And we're using this new online program where you can connect, share your own experiences, tell your stories, share your resources, give advice, and really grow with like-minded women.
That's right. And you use a key word, which is leadership. Entrepreneurship is important, but leadership.
Yes,
And leadership, yeah, some people say you're born with great leadership skills. Okay, great. It might be a preference of yours, but trust me, you can learn leadership, and
absolutely.
it can come down to the language you use, including your body language.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that leadership, because it's really part of owning our own authority
Uh,
and authenticity in the world.
yes. Unapologetically at that.
That's
Being
right.
able to see yourself as the leaders that you probably leaned on in the past, understanding how talented and gifted you are, and that there are people that want to learn from you. When we remove any limiting beliefs that probably have been placed on us, you'll see that within you there is a leader, even though you may think that you are currently not a leader, but the fact that you are taking charge of your own life, as I say, getting to that leadership by any means necessary through entrepreneurship as a solo CEO, that is leadership. And looking to develop your skills as a leader so that you can begin to build teams is very important. And we want to be that vessel for people to learn all of the things they need and give them access to current leaders that could inspire them and teach them how to be great leaders as well.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful, Marsha. Folks watching, this is a really important component of your founder game, is understanding what leadership looks like. Just, and especially Marsha, when you talked about onboarding talent, right?
Yeah,
Being able to bring in not just the right talent, but also lead them to do what they need to do
right.
and
Empower
make
them.
empower them.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so a lot of times, the CEO, the founder wants to keep doing everything. And that is not your job. Your job is to lead, which is to empower people from the outside, people on the inside, understanding the mission and the vision and keeping everybody juiced up to do this work is a learned skill. And it's great when we're in a strategic partnership with someone who cares about our success,
right,
who can say, look, here's what you need to shift. It's not
right.
like what you're doing wrong. You didn't know
Right.
from
And you know
nothing.
what I think happens? I think the past trauma or even current trauma that some have in corporate America about leadership and with the leaders that they have, right, guiding them, that often makes people run away from leadership roles because the examples that they've been seeing were so traumatic to them that they think all leaders should be that type of, you know, leader. And that's not true. You get to lead how you want to feel. You take those feelings that you want to feel by the people leading you, and you use that to be that type of leader and to be that example. It's really, that's why we do leadership and entrepreneurship. Oftentimes my clients that are working and navigating between employee and employer often don't know that they need to do work to undo the damage and trauma that they're holding on to from entrepreneurship.
Oh
You
my gosh.
know, they're going
And
into entrepreneurship to run away from corporate America. But Andy, isn't the point that we want our businesses to become corporations? Isn't the point that we want to be the entities we want to run away from? So it's important that you change your mindset
yes.
around corporate America and that corporate system and structure. And that's what one of my favorite things that I love to do with my clients is to have them really um, fall back in love with work.
Yay. Because you're gonna, if your plans are to grow, you're gonna need to do proper leadership. Not some of the nightmares that we see, because, and especially when you see the words coming out of somebody's mouth and they don't even have a clue of what their action, how they're walking it is not. And I recall on the Golden Globe Awards, Jane Fonda saying, we need to be leaders. Let's be leaders.
Yeah.
And I just was really empowered by that as well. We can all be, but especially with your business, and to fall back in love with corporate, which we had Alyssa Cohn on in December. She's a top tier startup founder coach and has worked with the ones that have, Stitch It or Stitch Fix, the big ones that have gone down from here to big. And one of
Awesome.
the pieces of advice that she gave that I thought was so brilliant is when you are building your team that you're using as a startup is going to be different than when you start to scale your enterprise.
Absolutely.
And get it bigger. And this is, again, where some of those fears might come in. But what happens is her language was, you tell the folks that you're onboarding now, look, when we get to this next level and I have to bring in someone who knows how to take the engine and to the next level, I promise you, I'll hire someone that you'll learn and grow from.
And that's important to state too. You know, you have to be open and honest with the startup team to let them know when it's time for growth, there's a certain quality, there's a certain experience level, there's a certain thing that we're looking for. And sometimes it's easy enough to get that, to train up the person to that next level. But when you're really, really trying to scale to those 7 and 8 figures, it's important that you bring on, especially when you start getting outside funding, it's important that you get the right
That's right.
Next level management team.
Yeah. And people who have done that and they know what that looks like at that level. And again, dissolving some of the corporate bias that you have from the scars of being treated poorly. You can set your culture up, everybody, from day one.
From day one.
Yeah. To be inclusive and have rules of engagement and how we're going to be here. Yeah. And you can set it up in a way that it will stick, that it won't get changed because someone comes on or you've made a bad hire and they poison everything for a while. When you have strategic partners like at HerSuiteSpot, they're going to help you get rid of that person faster.
You know what we also do is help you align with your values, your mission, and make sure that your values and mission for your business as a solo CEO moves with you as you begin to build the team. When you're looking to onboard more team members, don't just look at job descriptions and the tasks that you need done. Look at those values. That's what we're asking corporate America to do right now. Right now, we're staring in the face of corporate America and high-end executives, and we're saying, what are the values that you hold? How diverse is your team? Let's look at that, right? And it's important that you do that for yourself as well. Identify. So when we onboard some of our members, the first thing they go through is a business goal setting and planning manifesto. And part of that is identifying what your mission and your values are so that you use that to continue to align yourself with the right people.
And seriously, you have to keep reviewing that manifesto, folks, because
all the time.
So easy to get lost in the weeds with so much going on as a founder. Okay, let me come back, take a deep breath. Okay. And again, when you have that partnership with you, helping you along the way, it's just the best thing. Hey, Laura, thank you. Awesome. Love the work you are offering. Leadership and mentorship is super important for founders.
Yes, thank you, Laura.
It certainly isn't. And Laura's off, telling everybody, hey, so come on and join. You guys see this conversation. And I love that. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you for joining the conversation.
Yeah. So, it helps more people, Laura, by doing that. Thank you. Hear what Marsha has to say, because again, this isn't a digital experience. You can bring people from Birmingham, Alabama to Detroit from Boston, New York, Miami, Cleveland, together and still have a great impact by having those partners. And you're doing all the hard work there at HerSuiteSpot. So, and to continue more about that, how do you bring on the mentors and how do you find these strategic partners for HerSuiteSpot?
I immerse myself into the ecosystems where we reside, and I serve them in their initiatives, and then in return they serve me. So HerSuiteSpot, the coaching agency side, we have partnered with other coaches in different modalities of personal and professional development. We bring them in whenever our clients are looking for a specialty area, someone who can specialize in web development and or goal setting, planning, the business planning, pitching. So we bring together, I am a student, I'm forever a student and I'm forever a fan. So you will see me at conferences, I attend them. I host my own conference, but I attend other conferences because I am on a journey. You know, I say all the time, Oprah has a next level. She's always getting somewhere further. Just when you think she had it all, and then you're like, oh, she got that again. Oh my God. Everybody has a next level.
I know. Next level, new shovel. I don't know what it's called, but you got to keep digging deeper, deeper, deeper to
Yeah.
bring your fully expressed self to the world.
Yes.
And
And
sometimes,
serving others. Don't just
yes,
look for the ask, give as well. And so
right.
I often am giving of myself and my time to other people's platforms. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to get that in return.
And let's just say a quick shout out to Anna Foster and a
Yeah.
Maven's World 9th conference. Anna, come on.
Yes, I'm so
You're,
excited.
you're going to be there, one of the panel moderators, right?
Yes,
Oh,
we are talking about the business panel, but thank you for connecting me with Anna.
oh,
And it's just all of those authentic relationships,
right.
I call them the ships, relationships, partnerships, friendships, all of the ships of the night are so
Right.
important for you to kind of nurture. When you give, there's always going to be an area and a time for you to ask.
Wow. Okay, so moving along, because you've been, even though it's a side hustle, you're still going through everything a founder goes through, and everybody knows, I say this all the time, it's the best personal and professional development program out there, running a business.
Yeah.
What have you learned? How has this served you, both professionally and personally in life?
I'll tell you, it has one deepened my relationship with my faith and with God, because there are times when I truly want to give up, especially as a side business. You feel often isolated, right? But when you involve yourself in other organizations with like-minded people and learning from each other, that is what helps you get through those feelings of isolation, those imposter syndrome moments where you feel like you're not qualified for the work that you're doing, and or you think that no one's watching and no one's listening, no one's buying, and so you're ready to give up. And then you'll have a moment with that one client that actually validates the purpose of your mission and will actually have their breakthroughs and their ahas and come back with a glowing testimonial or telling you how your product or service changed their views or their life. And that is the moment that makes me say, you know what, I'm in this for the long haul. For what I'm doing is necessary. For, that value proposition is there and it's strong no matter what.
Right. And folks, that's why you've got to have that North Star.
Mm-hmm.
That you're holding on, your purpose behind what you're doing, helping others get what they want so you can get what you want.
That's it.
The Zig Ziglar quote, but that's beautiful. And then, as far as any advice for other founders, you talked about the isolation and all of that, and your faith, you've really leaned on that as well. And those moments when you get that testimonial feels so good. But how about in the dark of the night? I mean, you have to shift your mindset, when things get really hard. Do you have any mindset hacks for folks listening today?
Truly affirming daily affirmations, aligning yourself with people that are in a positive space. I've oftentimes had to realign who's in my inner circle, because I would notice when times I would possibly be regressing in a negative path of doubt and disappointment, instead of people that are, pulling you up. So look for that circle of people that will continue to pull you up. Surround yourself by that. That's truly, and why I have the network, and why I thought the network was important at this time, especially after the year that we've been having. It's so important now than ever. You're home alone. We're all on halfway lockdown. It's slowly coming back, but it's important to find that ecosystem of like-minded people.
Everybody. Stitch that one on a pillow. Find the ecosystem of like-minded people.
And I also have to say, you got to pace yourself. You know, when you come in and you're looking at your favorite person, you know, your most admired person, that mentor from afar, and you're like, oh my God, they did it, they're so successful. But you don't know the struggles that they've had, the barriers and the challenges that they've had to go through and overcome to get to the place that they're at. The many years, you know, Daymond John said it took 15 years to become an overnight success.
Always.
And you know that journey. Pace yourself. You know, entrepreneurship is not one of those overnight things, right?
And we have too much pressure put on, quote, the hustle culture.
Too much. You do not need to even. I had a conversation with someone who told me that he met with a young lady that said, I just want to make enough money, not to work for someone else, but to spend time with my kids. And so I'm not looking for that billion-dollar valuation. Entrepreneurship is not always about that hard hustle to get to that billion-dollar valuation. You could live a comfortable life as a solopreneur, and you don't need to build a massive team. So don't feel pressured to follow the unicorn of entrepreneurship that we're seeing out there in the mainstream
or
media.
the constant pressure, like, and you see them with the coaches. I get people to 7 figures. It's like, whoa.
That's the thing I hate the most when I see that. Your system won't work for everybody else, and you're not probably telling the truth about the failed attempts that you've had, and the starving nights, and you're trying to sell a blueprint that we all know does not fit.
There is no blueprint, folks.
No.
And there's no answer that can be given to you other than you've got to figure this out, and you can figure it out. And it's just going to take some trial and error and making sure you're asking for help and getting the right people in. You know, that and Gary Vee said, I'd rather be happy in a Toyota than crying in a Ferrari. It's, you know, these are things that help us understand. I had some client reach out to me just for the permission to not scale, because she was getting so much pressure, but she had kids at home to homeschool, which she loved. And she goes, I just want to make enough to do this, this, and that.
Yeah.
And I've got that right now. I go, wonderful.
Yeah, that's success for you. Success looks different for every single one of us.
Absolutely. So I know that you have just published a book. You've got a book event going on coming up. Let me just bring up a banner so I can share everybody. I'll put you in the full screen. Hold on.
Yes. Pathways to HerRise is the latest anthology. So, you know, what I love most about what we do at HerSuiteSpot is amplify the voices of women of color, right, that are looking for leadership by any means necessary through entrepreneurship. Is that we do that through our anthologies. This is our 4th anthology that I put together, and I'm so excited for the women in this book because these are some of the recipients of our COVID relief fund from last year. Last year, we dedicated our microgrant to women of color businesses that were struggling during COVID, and possibly at the time were not given any of those government grants and funding. And so we took that and we took some of the authors and put them into our latest anthologies, Pathways to HerRise, and you will have stories of legacy building businesses. So entrepreneurship is not just about that solo CEO. It's not just a one-person idea. It comes from ancestral endeavors, and some of our authors are legacy builders, and some have built them and some are taking over the family businesses. So it's a really great book. We have our launch on Monday, on March 8th at noon, on our HerSuiteSpot page on Facebook, as well as our page in YouTube. We will be really talking to all the authors and sharing bits and pieces of their story.
I'm going to get that on my calendar for sure and swing by and cheer everybody on. That is so exciting. Can we just talk a little bit about the word legacy?
Oh,
because sometimes you think legacy, and you can go to Warren Buffett or think really big, or Sam Wall, or the big sports guys, and what they've done. What is, and actors? What is legacy?
Legacy is the story you leave behind, whether good or bad. And someone taught me, Kim Sutter, she's a member of HerSuiteSpot. She taught me a few years ago, Everyone leaves a legacy, even from the abuse legacy, the success legacy, everything you go through in life, every lasting impression you're leaving behind for the next generation is what you're doing when you're building what we call a legacy. Oftentimes it's associated with all of the quote unquote financially
Yes.
successful things, right? But that's not it. Your average, everything you're doing at home with your family, everything you're doing within your own personal life is all part of your legacy building that the footprint that you leave behind on this earth. No matter what that footprint is, it is your special footprint and your special legacy.
So you need to do a short video, just that, like a minute or two, just that about legacy, because just like entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
legacy is filled with mythology.
Yeah.
Legacy means I've left a huge trust fund for my kids. Legacy, no, it is the footprint you're leaving behind. There's that great song at the end of the movie, Accountant, and the guy's got this really whiskey smoke filled voice and he's singing the blues song like, I'm just trying to leave something behind.
Yeah.
And that's, and it's like the Maya Angelou quote, people don't remember what you did for them or what you said. They will always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely. And that's a legacy you're leaving.
Okay, everybody. Oh, that's so good, Marsha. How may we know about the book club. I'll have all of this in the show notes, everyone. How else may we support you?
Just show up in her sweet spot, ready to ask and give and serve one another. Sign up for your free account online at HerSuiteSpot.com. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are here on LinkedIn at HerSuiteSpot, on Instagram and Twitter at HerSuiteSpot, as well as on Facebook.
So good, so good. You can see why I'm so enamored and a huge fan of this amazing woman, Marsha Guerrier. You are changing lives and you are leaving a really important legacy because you're helping so many people get what they want.
Thank you so much.
That has a ripple effect that's amazing. Thank you so, so much for joining me today. I'll see you in the green room as I wrap things up and chat with this wonderful.
Thank you for being here, guys, in the comments.
Oh, great. And I know we're going to get a lot of viewers later on this, so it's going to be super. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Wasn't that beautiful? I mean, Marsha is creating so much value out there, especially in this whole strategic alignment, in helping women of color find those partners that can help them. And by joining Her Sweet Spot, you can do that. You do not need to go this alone. It's amazing the aha moments we have right here on the show. And yay, Laura, thank you so much for tuning in and showing up and for following Her Sweet Spot. That is just great, and grateful for that. And if you have any other questions, you can just pop them into the comment section or shoot me an email. And anybody wants that customer persona exercise, shoot me an email. You saw the scoop on how to stay in touch with Marsha. And of course, links will be in the show notes. So, and in those of you who are still watching at this point on YouTube, again, thank you for a subscribe and a click on that bell icon. That really supports the show. So let me tell you who's going to be on Tuesday. Speaking of changing the world and making an impact, on Tuesday, March 9th at 1 p.m. EST, our guest Jessica Sandin is changing the landscape of STEM education. She founded Systemic Flow to inspire, motivate, and build the next generation of BIPOC STEM leaders by supporting students' fundamental learning in math. And she has created incredible programs to start the fun, whether it's coding or science and math, computer science, whatever it is, to get brains going, oh, this is fun, and keep it past the hormone shifting, just saying, so that they go on and have a more meaningful life or are able to pursue what they want or learn about science, technology, and math, and all of it. So it's just great. You're going to love meeting her. She's local. She's from Boston. And we're going to have a great conversation on Tuesday. And I'm just going to wrap up here with what I hope, you'll find inspirational and truly remember for you as you go about your day. This is what Marsha and I were talking about, that you remember you are braver than you believe. Oh, yeah. And you are stronger than you seem. And yep, don't forget, you are a smarty pants for sure. That is what the founder journey teaches all of us, right? You're digging deep and you had no idea. You had so much together. So I believe in you and I'm grateful for your being here. I'll see you next time. Okay. Mwah to everyone.